Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Joe Palmer begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Tonight, our state's west coast is on edge as we wait for news on a delicate and dangerous rescue operation underground. One worker is unaccounted for in the wake of a collapse deep in the Henty gold mine, north of Queenstown, in the early hours of this morning. We have our reporters live from the west coast tonight, Sean McComish with details of the rescue underway and Letitia Wallace for the community's reaction. First, we cross to Sean for the latest developments. Sean, good evening. Have rescuers found any sign of the worker yet?
Joe, we've just had an update from police and they're yet to make any contact or find any signs of life. It's not known exactly how far down underground the worker is, but it is a lower level of the Henty gold mine. It's an extremely precarious mission for crews who have to be mindful of their own safety. And as we're about to see, it's been an extremely challenging day for those racing against the clock. Grappling with bleak conditions above and below ground. As the rescue mission began, police were optimistic.
We're positive that he's certainly still with us, and we hope to get him out in the next half hour or an hour if possible.
3.5 hours later, those hopes began to fade.
We now have grave fears for this person's safety. We're obviously reasonably confident we could get to the area as quickly as we could and as safely as we could, and that was certainly that undertaken, and unfortunately we just haven't been able to find those signs of life that we were wishing for.
It takes crews roughly 20 minutes to descend into the area. A robot from the bomb squad and thermal imaging have been deployed. Other emergency services remain on standby. The alarm was raised by workers at 4 this morning inside a lower level of the Henty gold mine.
He was assigned him to load a truck at the time. He was loading a truck, and it was the truck driver that identified when he can come back with the next load.
It's unknown if he's seated inside the protection of his loader.
We are now working with the specialist engineers at Henty Gold Mine and the emergency response teams, and we are formulating another plan as to how best we can get back down to the particular area safely.
Police are now looking to source other equipment to aid the rescue effort. In typical West Coast fashion, other mines are also coming forward to lend their assistance. But at this stage, it's still not known when crews will be going back underground. Joe?
OK, thank you very much for that, Sean. We're going to cross now to Letitia. Letitia, the community there must really be on edge.
Joe, there's a lot of apprehension here tonight as the community waits for more developments. I spoke to relatives and family friends of the man earlier today who are understandably too upset to speak on camera, but say they are all holding out hope. Queenstown waits, a nervous day for the tight-knit community as the search for one of its own rolled on.
Hasn't been a particularly good day. We still hold out some hope. But as the inspector said, they've got some grave concerns.
A visibly emotional mayor anxious for news as he stood alongside those waiting in the small, isolated mining town.
As a community, we'll come together and we'll move on. And the operational plans put in place by Tas Police, the mine owners and emergency services has ensured that everything that could be done has been done and is being done.
Emergency crews swarming to the nearby Henty gold mine, pulling out all the stops as people across the state waited for developments for any mention of good news.
Our thoughts and prayers are obviously with the missing worker and the other workers at the site, but any family members as well. It's obviously a very unsettling time.
We'll work hard with DHHS to make sure that people's grief, if it comes to that, is managed and onwards and upwards.
This is a very anxious time for the family, for the workmates and for everyone involved in the rescue mission.
Working hundreds of metres underground, this industry isn't without its risks.
You cannot underestimate the hazards that workers in mining are confronted with on a daily basis, and the significance of safety and safety measures is to minimise difficult circumstances like this.
The Mining Inspectorate has been engaged and WorkSafe Tasmania are involved, but at this stage obviously our efforts are obviously focused on the unaccounted worker.
As day one of the rescue mission comes to a close, people are really focused here on reaching the missing worker, but it's looking like an anxious night here on the West Coast. Jo?
Yes, it's certainly like it will be quite a long night for those on the West Coast and indeed all of us in Tasmania. Thank you both very much for those reports. We'll be hearing from you a little later in our bulletin with further updates while we're on air. To the day's other news now, and 2 adults and a youth have been charged in relation to an alleged evade incident through Hobart's eastern shore yesterday. It's understood the stolen vehicle collided with an unmarked police car when it was intercepted on the Bowen Bridge. Police say 3 people aged between 17 and 20 were arrested at the scene, all now facing a raft of evade, stealing and burglary charges. We return now to the day's major news, where there's an evolving situation on Tasmania's west coast. A miner is missing, believed to be stuck underground. We return to our reporter Sean McComish. Sean, hello again. Do you have an update on the rescue operation?
Jo, there's still no word from authorities on whether they've managed to locate the missing worker. As we heard earlier, they reached within 50 metres of the mine collapse deep underground, but they weren't able to identify signs of life at that stage. The situation down there is very precarious and unstable for crews to be sent in. They're desperately formulating another plan to get to the area safely.
We have used the particular drone that we had, and there's always other equipment that we can use, and we are sourcing further equipment so that we can actually get a better indication.
Authorities are saying it's still too early to tell just what has happened here to cause the situation, but no doubt that will be the subject of an investigation. But for now, we all anxiously wait and hope for the best. Jo?
The controversial Rodney Hill development has been given the tick of approval at a special council meeting. 8 Clarence City Council aldermen voted yes, while 4 voted against it last night. The approval comes after years of public backlash, which saw it downsized from 100 rooms to 60. Opponents have already flagged they will appeal the decision, raising concerns about its size, scope and environmental impact. But its proponents say it's a positive use of public land. One of Tasmania's top football exports has returned to the state, but this time in different colours. 4-time premiership winner Grant Burchell says he's looking forward to spending more time in the sun after moving from Hawthorn to Brisbane.
Hometown hero Grant Burchell is back in Tasmania, sporting a different Guernsey to his last visit. The Devonport-born defender has spent his career playing for the Hawks, moving to the Lions for the 2020 season.
Very excited. Fresh start for me. The last couple of years have been pretty tough on the body, so I thought a fresh start up in the sunshine will do me the world of good.
Burchell has been plagued with injury concerns in recent years, missing all of the 2018 AFL season and only playing 3 matches last year. Nearing the end of the Lions pre-season training camp, he says he'll be in fine form ahead of the first round of the Marsh Community Series.
The body's feeling really good at the moment. I'm just trying to get strong and resilient again, and been doing everything that they've been asked of me. So, yeah, it's all been good.
The pre-season training camp giving the new look Lions a chance to harness their talent and bond as a team.
It's been great for me personally, trying to build relationships with these guys, which has been great. And we've got some good match simulation as well today. So, yeah, good sessions, and it's been a good camp.
And with the Lions back to being a serious premiership contender again, maybe the secret is the important training taking place off the field.
Just playing lots of cricket, lots of table tennis, lots of fun activities. So yeah, that's been good fun.
Pre-season training continues before the Lions face the Power in their first pre-season match on February 23. Ebony Ablett, 7 Tasmania News.
We now head back to Queenstown for an update on our lead story tonight, where rescue crews have spent the day searching for a missing miner. Back to our reporter Letitia Wallace. Letitia, how has the rescue mission progressed?
Jo, in their first attempt to reach the missing miner, they weren't able to find signs of life, but the community here is holding out hope. The man was working in one of the lower levels of the Henty gold mine, almost a kilometre underground. Emergency crews were sent deep into the mine this morning, getting within around 50 metres of where they believe the incident was. They're now seeking more equipment and planning next steps. Now, the mining industry is one that comes with risks. Tasmania has certainly had many tragedies, but also stories of hope.
A moment etched in the memory of a nation. 2006, Todd Russell and Brant Webb walk out of the Beaconsfield gold mine alive. But the Anzac Day collapse claiming the life of Larry Knight. His two fellow miners spending 14 days underground before their miraculous rescue. A tale of tragedy, but also hope that drew the world's attention.
The rescuers have done a fantastic job, the families have been fantastic, and clearly these two men have been outstanding Australians. It's a great day.
Can we let out a cheer?
Yeah, come on, let's let out a cheer.
Mining has been a cornerstone industry of Tasmania for hundreds of years, with coal being mined by convicts in the early 1800s. Since then, major mines have been established for gold, tin and coal, the state's billion-dollar export industry employing thousands. But the events that unfolded at Beaconsfield 13 years ago aren't the only troubles the industry has faced in recent years. In June 2001, Jared Keith Jones and Matthew David Lister died at the Renison Bell tin mine near Zeehan. Less than 2 years later, Sydney Thomas Pearce died on the same site, all three men killed by rockfalls.
I would want to pass on the sympathy of the government and the people of Tasmania to the family of the miner who was lost.
That same year, in 2003, at the Mount Lyell copper mine on the west coast, Michael Nelson Knights died while repairing mining equipment. A decade later, over the space of 6 weeks, 3 more people lost their lives at the same mine. Maintenance workers Craig Gleeson and Alastair Lucas plummeted from a platform in December 2013, the fall claiming their lives.
Tragedy like this with two guys with young families this close to Christmas, just a tragedy.
Then in January 2014, the mine faced another tragedy, Michael Welsh dying during an underground mudslide. And most recently in 2017, Nathaniel Beasley fell to his death at a Savage River mine. It's a long history of a mining industry that helped shape Tasmania, but not one without its tragedies. Michelle Wisby, 7 Tasmania News.
New data has revealed drops in unemployment rates nationwide, with Tasmania dipping slightly to 5.8% last month. It comes as energy company Hydro Tasmania today announced it's moved 40 jobs to Tasmania from its interstate retail arm.
We're really excited by this opportunity to increase our momentum footprint here in Tasmania. Our customers really enjoy speaking to Tasmanian-based employees, and our Tasmanian-based employees are really passionate.
The state's unemployment rate is still the third highest in the country, behind South Australia and Queensland.
The Hobart Hurricanes will be bolstered by 2 high-profile inclusions for its upcoming do-or-die match against the Sydney Thunder at Blunston Arena. Darcy Short and James Faulkner will return, adding firepower and experience to the team.
Fresh off a win in Melbourne, the feeling is sweet in the Canes camp. But the journey to a finals berth is more like a mountain climb. They need victories in their remaining 2 matches and then require the results of around 6 other games to go their way.
We can only control that we keep winning now, and if we can do that, we'll see how it falls.
A blistering opening stand against the Renegades propelled the Hurricanes to one of the biggest power play scores in the competition's history.
Holes in the wicket. Oh, geez, got hold of that. What a shot.
Mac Wright's impressive 70 not out of 50 balls, justifying coach Adam Griffith's 11th hour masterstroke.
Yeah, I was actually literally walking into the ground and just went with my gut and decided to go with Mac.
But the youngster may shift down the order for tomorrow night's home clash against the Sydney Thunder, paving the way for the return of power hitter Darcy Short.
We'll have a look at that over the next 24 hours, but either way, Mac will be in the top 3, yeah.
James Faulkner has overcome injury to boost the bowling stocks and will be hunting early wickets against a star-studded Thunder top order.
We've got to try and take wickets up front, and that's something James does really well.
You can catch the match live and free after the news tomorrow night. Garth Burley, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmania has lost to Victoria in a rain-affected match in the women's domestic one-day competition. Macy Gibson scored an unbeaten 57 for the Tigers, but Victoria won by 2 runs under the Duckworth-Lewis method after playing just 17 overs of their innings. Richie Port's grip on the Tour Down Under title has strengthened after claiming one of the tour's most decisive stages. Port exploded up the steep climb to Paracombe and now has a 6-second lead over defending champion Daryl Impey. If history is any guide, this is the Tour Down Under's true mountaintop, Paracombe, unforgiving. Only twice has it been included, but both times its winner has gone on to claim the Tour.
And here we go.
Torrens Hill Road, the ultra-steep climax to the 131-kilometre stage, an average gradient of 9.5%, 20% at its worst.
If Richie Port can maintain this will give him an iron grip on the ochre jersey.
A stage win would come with a 10-second time bonus, which could be the difference at the tour's end.
He grits the teeth. He's a man who looks like he's smiling when he's suffering, and the others are wallowing in his wake.
But not everyone. In the final stretch, Simon Yates appeared in a burst of speed, but the Trek Segafredo star had put in the groundwork and was rewarded.
But Richie makes it, gets to 10 seconds, a big effort by Simon Yates.
And pure exhaustion from Port.
Who's your main contender? Look, I mean, Daryl's still the man to beat, I think, with the bonus seconds on the road. But to take another victory on a stage like this is a great feeling, so I'm going to savour that firstly.
Tomorrow's stage suits the sprinters from Adelaide to Murray Bridge.
Good evening. Great news that some of us have had some rain, but not enough, of course. A good start, though. Temperatures dropped below average today. Hobart 20, Launceston 17, Burnie 18, Devonport 19 degrees. Friendly Beaches the warmest with 23, Flinders Island 21, Ouse 20 and St Helens 19, King Island and Grove 18 degrees, Strawn 15. The best rainfall since 9 a.m. has been 20 millimetres at Meander. The broad cloud band moved off the east coast as low-level cloud took its place over Tasmania this afternoon. The large curved cloud band extends to the southern New South Wales coast. Cold air sits behind that system over the Bight, and afternoon convective cloud is over New South Wales, Queensland and the top end. Tomorrow, the cold front sits over central New South Wales. A high to the west extends a ridge over South Australia. The monsoon trough forms over the top end. Winds northwesterly over our region at 20 to 30 knots right around the coastline, and to 25 knots inland. Swells at 4 metres in western and southern waters. A strong wind warning current for all Tasmanian coastal waters. Forecast for Hobart, a possible shower and 22. 20 the high for Huonville with a shower or two. Partly cloudy in Campania, 22 the maximum. Launceston, a shower or two and 21. 20 the high for Devonport, becoming windy, and 21 for Georgetown with a shower and a bit of wind blowing in. 20 the high for Burnie with showers. Showers for Strawn and Wynyard, 19 and 20 degrees. And for St Helens, partly cloudy and 21. This is where we need the rain. Swansea, partly cloudy and 22, and Port Arthur, a top of 20. UV very high at 9 and 10. On Saturday, showers over the west, far south and parts of the north. Partly cloudy over the east coast on Sunday with showers easing from the west. And on Monday, fine and cloudy apart from a shower or two over the west and far south. Sunny and 31 in Perth. Partly cloudy in Adelaide and Melbourne. Sunny in Canberra, but showers possible over Sydney and Brisbane. Little cloud over Hobart, 18 at the moment. 14 and cloudy over Launceston. Partly cloudy in Devonport and 16. That's it from me for now, Joe.
Okay, thanks so much for that, Murph. That's all from the team for now. We will have updates for you a little later this evening. Good night.